The dog looked into the sewer every day. People were shocked when they opened the hatch. The loyal dog who stared into the sewer. Every day, until his owner opened the hatch and gasped. In a sleepy little town nestled in the hills of Turkey, where the air smelled of fresh bread from the corner bakery and the streets were lined with colorful flower boxes, lived a stunning German shepherd named Axel. He was the kind of dog everyone noticed, tall, sleek, with a coat that gleamed like polished mahogany under the sun. Axel was smart, too. He knew every trick in the book and loved nothing more than strutting through the neighborhood on his daily walks with his owner, Irina. People would stop just to pet him, cooing over his alert ears and wagging tail. "What a good boy," they'd say, and Axel would sit proudly, soaking it all in. Irina, a kind-hearted schoolteacher in her mid-30s, had raised Axel from a pup. He was her faithful shadow, always by her side, whether she was grading papers at home or strolling to the local butcher shop for his favorite treat, juicy sausages that made his eyes light up. Life was simple and sweet until one crisp autumn evening when everything changed. It started innocently enough. Irina and Axel were on their usual route, passing the row of quaint shops near the butcher. The sun was dipping low, casting long shadows on the cobblestone street. Suddenly, Axel froze a few doors down from the shop. His ears perked up and he let out a deep, urgent bark that echoed off the buildings. His gaze was locked on a rusty old storm drain hatch embedded in the sidewalk, a grimy metal cover that no one ever paid much attention to. "What is it, boy?" Irina tugged gently on his leash, but Axel wouldn't budge. He barked again, louder this time, his body tense like a coiled spring. Neighbors peeked out from their windows, startled by the noise. Irina's heart raced a little. Axel had never acted like this. Was there a rat down there? A snake? She squinted. At the hatch, but it was too dark to see anything through the slits. After what felt like an eternity of coaxing, Axel finally relented and followed her home. Irina sighed with relief, chalking it up to some fleeting distraction. But deep down, a tiny seed of worry planted itself in her mind. That night, over dinner, she told her husband Ronnie, a mechanic with a no-nonsense attitude and a soft spot for animals. "He just went crazy at that sewer grate," she said, stirring her tea. Ronnie chuckled, wiping grease from his hands. "Probably spotted a mouse or something scurrying around. Dogs get excited over the silliest things. Don't sweat it, hun." His words eased her a bit, but as she lay in bed listening to Axel's steady breathing from his spot at the foot of the mattress, Irina couldn't shake the image of his intense stare. The next morning, bright and early, they headed out again. Irina kept a closer eye this time, her curiosity piqued. As they approached the same spot, her stomach tightened with anticipation. Would he do it again? Sure enough, Axel stopped dead in his tracks. But no barking this time. Instead, he plopped down right in the middle of the street, planting his paws firmly beside the hatch. He stared into those shadowy slits, unblinking, for what must have been 5 full minutes. Cars slowed down, drivers craning their necks. "Is he okay?" a passerby asked. Irina knelt beside him, peering down, but the darkness swallowed everything. "Come on, Axel, let's go," she whispered, her voice laced with unease. He obeyed eventually, but the whole way home, Irina's mind raced. What was down there that had her perfect dog so obsessed? This bizarre ritual continued for 3 straight days. Every walk, every time they passed that drain, Axel would halt. Sometimes he'd bark furiously, paws scratching at the metal as if trying to pry it open. Other times, he'd just sit in silent vigil, his head tilted, ears twitching at faint sounds only he could hear. Irina tried everything. Treats, commands, even a stern no. But nothing broke his focus for long. By the 3rd day, whispers spread through the neighborhood. "That dog's gone mad," the baker muttered. "Or maybe he's guarding something," said the old lady from the flower shop. Irina laughed it off in public, but privately, tension built like a storm cloud. She started avoiding that route, but Axel would pull toward it, whining if she resisted. What secret was he keeping? On the fourth evening, the air was cooler with a hint of rain in the breeze. Irina decided to reward Axel with a trip to the butcher despite the weirdness. He trotted happily beside her, tail high, until they neared the drain. This time, he paused only briefly. A quick glance down, then onward. Relief washed over Irina. Maybe it was over. At the shop, the butcher handed over a fresh pack of sausages with a grin. "For the star of the town," he said. Back outside, Irina, Ennui unwrapped them, expecting Axel to sit patiently as always. But, in a flash, Axel snatched the entire package from her hand and bolted. Sausages flew from his mouth as he ran, but he clamped down on the bundle like his life depended on it. "Axel, stop!" Irina shrieked, her voice piercing the quiet street. She chased him, heels clicking frantically on the pavement, heart pounding in her throat. He was fast, so much faster than she remembered. Dodging between parked cars and startled pedestrians, Axel made a beeline back to that cursed drain. By the time Irina caught up, gasping for breath, he was already there, sitting triumphantly with the sausages dangling from his jaws. What happened next unfolded like a slow-motion dream. Axel didn't devour his prize. No, he gently placed the package on the ground, tore it open with his teeth, and one by one nudged the sausages through the slits in the hatch. Plop, plop. They vanished into the darkness below. Irina froze, inches away, her mind reeling. Why? This was his absolute favorite treat. Curiosity overpowered her shock. She crept closer, kneeling beside him, and strained to peer inside. At first, nothing. Just shadows and the faint drip of water. Then, a tiny movement. A soft, pitiful mew echoed up from the depths. Irina's blood ran cold. "Oh my God," she whispered. There, huddled in the filthy muck at the bottom of the storm drain, were more tiny shapes. Kittens. Helpless, shivering kittens, no bigger than her fist, their fur matted and eyes barely open. They must have been down there for days, trapped after a heavy rain washed them in. Weak cries rose up as the sausages landed near them, and one brave little tabby stretched out a paw, nibbling desperately. Tears stung Irina's eyes. Axel hadn't been crazy. He'd been trying to tell her, to save them. Without a second thought, she dialed emergency services. "There's animals trapped in a sewer. Please hurry." 15 agonizing minutes later, firefighters arrived, lights flashing. But Axel wasn't done protecting. He positioned himself in front of the hatch, growling low and fierce at the strangers, hackles raised. "Easy, boy," Irina soothed, wrapping her arms around him until he calmed enough to be led aside. The crew worked quickly, prying off the heavy grate with tools that clanged loudly in the gathering crowd. Neighbors murmured, phones out, the tension thick as fog. One firefighter lowered himself in, flashlight beam cutting through the gloom. The first pull, a soaked gray kitten, mewing feebly in his gloved hand. Gasps rippled through the onlookers. He went down again, and again. 4 times in total. 4 tiny lives. A gray, a tabby, a black one, and a calico. All the same age, all on the brink. The kittens were rushed to the vet, wrapped in warm blankets. Hypothermic and dehydrated, but alive, thanks to Axel's relentless vigil. The vet said they'd been down there at least 3 days, surviving on rainwater and sheer luck until the sausages arrived like manna from heaven. How they ended up there remained a mystery, perhaps abandoned or swept in by floodwaters. But Axel? He became the town's hero overnight. The butcher gave him free sausages for life. Kids drew pictures of him as a superhero. And Irina? She adopted. All 4 kittens, naming them after Axel's favorite things. Sausage, Shadow, Brave, and Hero. From that day on, walks were different. Axel still stopped at the drain sometimes, but now it was with a proud wag, checking on the spot that changed everything. In a world full of chaos, one dog's quiet persistence proved that loyalty knows no bounds, and sometimes the greatest heroes have 4 paws and a wet nose.